All right, let's get right into it. We're all getting pretty used to AI as a tool, right? Something that helps us draft an email or maybe generate a cool image. But what we're seeing right now, that's just the starting line. The next wave of AI is something else entirely. It's a shift from being a simple tool to becoming, well, an autonomous teammate.
And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. Are we just building better, smarter tools, or are we actually building our future colleagues? Because the answer to that is going to completely redefine how we work, how we create, maybe even how we think.
To really get this shift, let's start with a problem I think we all have. Just too much information. You know that feeling? You find a 2-hour lecture on YouTube, it looks perfect, but you just don't have 2 hours to spare. It's a classic problem in our crazy, fast-paced world.
And it is a huge problem. So huge that AI summarizer tools like NoteGPT have absolutely exploded with more than 12 million active users. All of them are just looking for a way to cut through the noise. It just goes to show how much we need help making sense of our digital lives.
The solution these tools offer is honestly beautiful in its simplicity. You grab a link, you paste it in, and bam! In seconds, the AI spits out the key points. This is the AI we know today. It's powerful, it's efficient, but ultimately, it's reactive. It waits for us to tell it what to do.
But this is where the plot thickens. We're now moving beyond an AI that just summarizes things for us, to an AI that can actually do things on its own. This is the big step, the evolution into what the experts are calling AI agents. To see how we got here, you gotta look at the building blocks. So level 1 is the large language model, the LLM. Think ChatGPT. This is the fundamental brain, the engine that can understand and generate text that sounds human. It's the bedrock for everything that comes next. Okay, level 2 is where things get a bit more clever. We start creating AI workflows. This is where you chain multiple AI tasks together. So instead of one command, you're automating a whole sequence. It's kind of like building a mini assembly line for data.
And that brings us to level 3, the AI agent. This is the giant leap into real autonomy. See, an agent doesn't just follow a preset list of tasks. It can look at its environment, come up with a plan all by itself, and then carry out that plan to achieve a goal you gave it.
So that sets up this really critical distinction we need to wrap our heads around. The difference between the generative AI we're all using and this new agentic AI. What really separates them?
The big change is right there. It's reactive versus proactive. Think of generative AI like a brilliant intern. It's amazing. It does incredible work, but it waits for you to give it a specific task. Agentic AI, on the other hand, is more like a project manager. You just give it a high-level goal, and it figures out all the steps to get there by itself.
And this proactivity is built on a few key traits. These agents are autonomous. They can operate without you constantly looking over their shoulder. They're proactive, meaning they take initiative to move toward a goal. They're constantly learning and adapting, and they interact with their digital environment to get the job done.
So if you boil it all down, it comes back to this simple but incredibly powerful loop. An agent perceives, it plans, and it acts. That cycle, perceive, plan, act, that's the magic sauce. That's what makes an agent an agent. Now, of course, a technology this powerful doesn't just change how we do our jobs. It starts to seep into everything. It starts to reshape our entire culture, from how we make art to the kind of debates we have as a society.
And the scope of this is just wild. We're seeing AI get involved in music production, in creating new kinds of folklore, it's making us question authenticity in marketing, and it's totally turning decades of copyright law completely upside down. It's touching pretty much every corner of our lives.
I mean, just take art. AI is creating these mind-blowing images and pieces that force us to ask a really deep question. If a machine creates a masterpiece, who's the artist? That's a huge challenge to our fundamental ideas about creativity itself.
And this isn't just some philosophical coffee shop talk. This stuff has very real, tangible consequences. It became a massive point of conflict in major labor disputes, like the big screenwriters' strike in 2023. We're talking about people's jobs and livelihoods being on the line.
And beyond all that, AI is basically holding up a giant mirror to society. It's reflecting our own biases right back at us. It's forcing some really tough but really necessary conversations about things like gender and representation in the data that we're training these things on.
And look, whenever a technology with this much power and this much autonomy shows up on the scene, it always kicks off a massive debate about who's in control and who we can actually trust. What's fascinating is that the rise of agentic AI is happening at a time when there's already a lot of skepticism about our existing institutions. This just pours fuel on the fire, sparking these intense online debates about who really controls information in the first place.
For instance, if you look in certain online communities, you find comments that show a really deep suspicion of established organizations. Here's one. He exposed the Council on Foreign Relations. They manage the CIA's Operation Mockingbird fake news media. This just gives you a sense of that profound distrust in mainstream institutions.
And here's another example from a similar online space that shows a deep skepticism of media stories. The comment says, if it wasn't for the news media being Democrat operatives, the Democrats would not get away with, and then it lists a whole series of major global events. These comments really show a belief that information is being manipulated on a huge scale.
So you can see why this all matters so much. When there's already this much distrust floating around, the question of who gets to control this new, incredibly powerful AI, well, that becomes the most important question of all. Who's going to set the goals? Who builds the guardrails? And whose values are these agents going to reflect?
And that leaves us with the ultimate question. As we step into this new world, are we about to create the most powerful partnerships in human history, working side by side with AI teammates to solve our biggest challenges? Or are we building the autonomous systems that will one day make us obsolete? The future is definitely not written yet.